Tens of thousands of years ago, on the fertile banks of the Nile River, the greatest enigma in human history began to rise. In the heart of the desert, a mountain built from gigantic stone blocks, defying time itself. The Great Pyramid of Khufu. Even today, it stands tall, the most astonishing structure ever created by human hands. But there is one question that has echoed for millennia. How did they place these enormous stones with such perfection, using tools that seem primitive to us? Could the people of that era really have achieved this? To find the answer, we must first step into their world. The calendar shows 2500 BC. Egypt, a civilization blessed by the annual flooding of the Nile, thriving with agriculture, trade, and faith. But at the heart of this civilization lay a deep reverence for the gods. The pharaoh was not merely a king, but seen as a god on earth. And when he died, his soul was believed to ascend to the heavens and attain eternal life. Thus, the pyramids were the embodiment of that belief. Far more than a tomb. A staircase, a bridge, a gateway connecting the mortal world to the divine realm. Khufu, also known as Cheops, was the second pharaoh of the 4th dynasty. Under his reign, Egypt reached the pinnacle of engineering and architecture. But Khufu had an idea unlike anything ever attempted before. A pyramid so vast it could touch the gods, and so flawless it could symbolize eternity. And thus began the greatest construction project in human history. It is estimated that the Great Pyramid of Khufu was completed in about 20 years. At the time of its construction, it stood 146 meters tall, as high as a modern 40-story building. It was made up of about 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing an average of 2.5 tons. But where did those stones come from? And how were such heavy materials transported? For the answer, we turn to Egypt's quarries, along the banks of the Nile. Most of the stones were extracted from limestone quarries right near the Giza plateau. However, some of the special stones used in the inner chambers, granite blocks, were brought from Aswan, about 800 kilometers to the south. These massive stones were transported along the Nile by large boats. But once they reached land, how were these multi-ton blocks moved? Here, the genius of the ancient Egyptians comes into play. In 2014, a papyrus was discovered in a desert cave west of Egypt. It was the journal of a transport overseer named Mizar. And in that journal, he described how the stones for Khufu's pyramid were delivered. Mizar and his team transported the limestone blocks through canals connected to the Nile, bringing them by boat to the pyramid's construction site. Then, the stones were pulled on lubricated sleds over wet sand. Yes, the Egyptians moistened the sand to reduce friction. This was a principle modern physics would only explain thousands of years later. But lifting the stones all the way to the top, that's where the real mystery begins. Because the pyramids were not built with cranes, but with ramps. To this day, archaeologists still debate the exact form of these ramps. Some believe a massive straight ramp extended from the pyramid's face. Others think spiral ramps wound around the structure. With each new layer of stone, the ramps rose higher, allowing the blocks to slowly climb toward the sky. As construction progressed, the ramps were dismantled, leaving behind only perfect geometry. The Great Pyramid of Khufu is not only immense, it is also astonishingly precise. Its 4 base corners align almost perfectly with true north, south, east, and west. And this alignment was achieved without a compass. How? The answer lies in the stars. The Egyptians were masterful observers of the night sky. By using 2 stars, Kochab and Mizar, they could determine true north with remarkable accuracy. The pyramid's connection to the stars reflects both their astronomical knowledge and their spiritual beliefs. For the Egyptians, the heavens were the eternal home of the souls of the dead. But what lay inside this colossal structure? The interior of the Great Pyramid is far more complex than it appears. Multiple passages, chambers, and corridors. The ascending passage, the king's chamber, the queen's chamber. And once, the pyramid's exterior was covered with smooth white limestone casing stones. When sunlight struck it, the pyramid gleamed like a mirror. A shining mountain of light in the middle of the desert. That is why the ancient Egyptians called it Khufu, meaning the horizon of Khufu. In a way, the pyramid was not merely a tomb, but a symbol of rebirth with every sunrise. But who were the people who built the pyramid? Popular culture often repeats a misconception that the pyramids were built by slaves. Yet archaeological evidence says otherwise. Excavations at Giza have revealed workers' villages, showing that thousands of laborers were well-fed, organized, and even honored. For them, working for the pharaoh was a sacred duty. It was an act of service to the gods themselves. Every morning, as the cool breeze of the Nile swept over the desert, they began their work, fitting stone upon stone with astonishing precision. Hundreds of carpenters, masons, engineers, and ordinary workers each played a vital part in this colossal project. Perhaps that is why the Great Pyramid of Khufu is not merely a monument to a king, but a symbol of a people's shared effort. As time passed, the meaning of the pyramid evolved. For centuries, it fascinated both scientists and dreamers. In the Middle Ages, European travelers believed they might find gold or hidden maps inside. By the 19th century, the age of scientific exploration had begun. European explorers arrived in Giza with notebooks in hand. They sketched, measured, and stretched ropes between the stones, all in search of the same answer. How was it possible? Some theories suggested that the Egyptians might have used an advanced technology now lost to time. Others even claimed the stones were lifted by sound waves. But over time, archaeology and engineering began to solve the mystery with reason. Simple machines, lever systems, ramps, coordination, and time. When combined, these elements gradually revealed the secrets behind these monumental structures. Yet even today, it is believed that undiscovered chambers still exist within the Great Pyramid. In 2017, researchers detected a large, previously unknown void inside the pyramid. So, even after thousands of years, Khufu may still be keeping some of his secrets. Today, the pyramids stand not only as symbols of Egypt, but as a shared heritage of all humanity. Each stone block is a testament to human perseverance, faith, and creativity. They have endured countless generations, surviving wars, earthquakes, and storms, yet still they remain. Every visitor who stands before them at Giza feels the same two emotions: awe and curiosity. How did they do it? How did they achieve it? And perhaps the real question is this: could we, the people of today, build something like this again? With the same faith, the same determination? Perhaps Khufu's true legacy is not carved into the stones themselves, but hidden within that question. The limits of what humanity can achieve are drawn only by imagination. The pyramids are that imagination made stone. A timeless masterpiece of engineering, and a silent witness to humanity's eternal desire to touch the divine. Perhaps the greatest secret of the pyramids is not how the stones were moved or how the chambers were aligned. The real secret lies within the people who placed those stones. What drove them to work under the blazing sun, in the scorching heat of the desert? Why did they decide to build something so immense? Why did thousands come together for years, united by a single purpose? Perhaps the answer can be found in the legacy of Khufu, a legacy that has transcended centuries. Because the pyramid was not just a tomb. It was a challenge that reminded humanity of its own limits. Every stone laid, every rise in height, was humanity discovering its own strength. And perhaps the true purpose was far greater than carrying the pharaoh's soul to the heavens. It was humanity's quiet resistance against its own mortality. A visitor standing around the pyramid today feels more than just a cold surface when touching the stones. They feel the breath, the effort, the determination of the thousands who once worked there. And perhaps that is why the pyramids are not merely engineering marvels of an ancient era, but the collective memory of humankind. A message beyond time. We were here. We succeeded. And so can you. People of every age ask themselves the same question in the pyramid's shadow. If they, thousands of years ago, with the simplest tools, could build something so magnificent, what is it that we failed to achieve today? Which dreams do we keep postponing because of our fears? Perhaps that is why the pyramids still stand, silent, watching us through the desert winds, to remind us how far humanity can go, and to whisper the same inspiration to every generation. The only real limit is the horizon you can see.